The school application form trembled in the teenager's hands as Zendaya talked about embracing mixed identity and the power of representation. Ellen was discussing the actress's journey with racial identity when she noticed the young girl in the front row staring at a college form while tears streamed down her face. What happened next would prove that sometimes the most important roles aren't played on movie screens, but in high school hallways where young people fight to exist authentically in a world that demands they choose sides that don't represent their whole truth. It was an inspiring Friday afternoon at the Ellen DeGeneres show, and the studio vibrated with youthful energy. 400 audience members, many of them teenagers and young adults, had gathered to see one of Hollywood's most influential young voices discuss her latest work. Ellen, radiant in a sophisticated teal blazer with delicate gold threading, was thoroughly enjoying her conversation with Zendaya, who looked absolutely stunning in a flowing burgundy dress. Her presence commanding the studio with that blend of old soul wisdom and generational authenticity that had made her a voice for millions of young people navigating identity in an increasingly complex world. "Zendaya," Ellen said, leaning forward with genuine admiration, "you've been so vocal about representation and the importance of young people seeing themselves reflected in media. What does that responsibility mean to you?" Zendaya's eyes lit up with the passion that had driven her from Disney Channel to dramatic leading roles. "Ellen, representation matters because when you don't see yourself reflected anywhere, you start to wonder if you exist at all. Especially when you're mixed race, when you don't fit neatly into the categories people expect. For so long, I felt like I had to choose which part of my heritage to emphasize, which box to check." The audience responded with enthusiastic applause, many young people nodding in recognition. This wasn't just celebrity promotion. This was validation that felt personal. "And that pressure to choose," Ellen continued, "to fit into predetermined categories. How did you learn to embrace your full identity?" "It took time," Zendaya said honestly. "People would tell me I wasn't black enough for some roles, not white enough for others. They wanted me to pick a lane. But I realized that my power comes from being exactly who I am. All of it. Not just the parts that make other people comfortable." That's when Ellen noticed her. In the front row, slightly to the right, sat a teenager who appeared to be around 16. She had curly light brown hair and features that reflected a beautiful blend of ethnicities. She wore a simple navy sweater and held what appeared to be a college application form. Her name was Maya Santos, though Ellen didn't know it yet. What caught Ellen's attention was the way Maya was staring at Zendaya with desperate recognition while tears streamed down her face as she looked between the form and a section that seemed to be causing her distress. Maya's hands were shaking as she held the paper, and Ellen could see her repeatedly starting to mark something, then stopping, as if she couldn't decide what to choose. Ellen's instincts, honed through 20 years of reading her audiences, told her this wasn't someone inspired by Zendaya's message of embracing identity. This was someone living the exact crisis Zendaya was describing. "Zendaya," Ellen said gently, "hold that thought about not fitting into predetermined categories. I think someone in our audience is struggling with that exact issue right now." Zendaya followed Ellen's gaze toward Maya, her expression immediately shifting from entertainer to deeply concerned advocate, as she recognized the signs of someone wrestling with identity in real time. Ellen stood up from her chair and took several steps towards the audience. "Sweetheart in the front row with the form, are you okay?" Maya looked up, startled and embarrassed by the sudden attention of 400 people and multiple cameras. She clutched the application form tighter and shook her head, trying to make herself invisible. "I'm fine," Maya said quietly, her voice thick with emotion and carrying a slight accent that reflected multiple cultural influences. "I'm sorry. I didn't mean to get emotional." Ellen walked down the steps that separated the stage from the audience, something she did only when every instinct told her someone needed immediate understanding. "What's your name, honey?" Ellen asked, now standing directly in front of Maya's row. "Maya Santos. I'm 16. Ellen knelt down in the aisle beside Maya's row, her teal blazer spreading around her as she created a safe space in what must have felt like overwhelming exposure. "Maya, what's that form you're holding?" Maya looked down at the college application, then back up at Ellen with such raw confusion and pain that it made everyone in the studio understand they were witnessing something fundamental about growing up mixed race in America. "It's my college application for early admission," Maya said, her voice barely above a whisper. "I've been stuck on this one question for weeks." The studio fell into that particular silence that happens when hundreds of people realize they're about to learn something that will change how they see the world. From the stage, Zendaya stood up immediately. Without being asked, without consulting producers, she walked down to join Ellen and Maya. This celebrity interview had just become something infinitely more important. Zendaya approached Maya with the reverence of someone who understood exactly what it meant to exist between worlds. "Maya," Zendaya said softly, "what question are you stuck on?" Maya's composure cracked completely. "Race and ethnicity," she whispered. "There are all these boxes, and I don't know which one to check. My mom is Mexican and Indigenous. My dad is Black and Irish. Every box I choose feels like I'm erasing part of myself." Ellen felt her heart breaking as she watched this teenager carry the weight of categorization that shouldn't exist. "Maya, what happens when you try to choose just one?" "I feel like I'm lying," Maya said through her tears. "Like I'm betraying my family, my ancestors, myself. But if I check other or mixed, I feel like I'm not claiming any of my heritage. And some people tell me I should just pick the one that will help me get into college, but that feels wrong too." Zendaya knelt beside Ellen, creating an intimate circle, while Maya continued to clutch the form that had become a symbol of her internal struggle. "Maya, have people made you feel like you have to choose before?" "All the time," Maya replied, her voice growing stronger despite her tears. "At school, the black kids say I'm not really black because I'm too light and I speak Spanish. The Latino kids say I'm not really Latina because I don't look like them and my dad is black. White people see me as just another minority. I don't fit anywhere." Zendaya's expression had shifted into something Ellen had rarely seen from any celebrity, a fierce protective energy born from personal experience with identity erasure. "Maya, I want you to listen to me very carefully," Zendaya said with quiet intensity. "You are not too much of anything, or not enough of anything. You are exactly enough of everything you are. Those people who want you to choose, they're the ones with the problem, not you." Ellen stood up slowly, her heart racing as she realized they were witnessing the psychological impact of systemic categorization on young people. "Maya, how long have you been struggling with this?" "Since I was little," Maya admitted. "But it's gotten worse as I get older. People want to know what I am, where I belong, what box to put me in. And lately, I've started wondering if it would be easier if I just picked one identity and stuck with it." Zendaya reached into her purse and pulled out something unexpected, a small photograph that looked like it had been carried for a long time. "Maya," Zendaya said, "this is a picture of my family. My mom is white, my dad is black. For years I felt like I had to choose which side of my family to represent, which culture to claim. But this picture reminds me that I don't have to choose. I get to be all of it." She placed the photograph in Maya's hand. "I want you to keep this. Not because you need to be like me, but because you need to remember that your complexity is your strength, not your weakness." Ellen began removing her teal blazer. "Maya, this blazer has been with me through some of my most important interviews. But today it's witnessing something more important than any celebrity story. It's witnessing authenticity. She placed the blazer around Maya's shoulders. You came here today carrying a question that millions of mixed-race young people carry every day. By sharing it, you're helping all of them feel less alone. But it was Zendaya's next words that broke through Maya's confusion completely. Maya, I want you to know something. The world is going to try to put you in boxes your entire life. People are going to want to categorize you, simplify you, make you easier to understand. But you don't exist for their comfort. You exist for your own truth, and your truth is beautiful and complex and whole. Zendaya stood up and addressed the cameras directly. If there are young people watching this who are mixed race, who feel like they don't fit anywhere, who are tired of having to choose which part of themselves to be, please know that you are not alone. Please know that your existence is not a problem to be solved. You are exactly who you're supposed to be. The moment that brought the entire studio to sustained applause came when Ellen asked Maya what she wanted to say to the college admissions officers who would read her application. I want them to know that I'm not checking a box because it's convenient or strategic, Maya said, her voice clear and strong for the first time. I'm checking all the boxes that represent who I am because my identity isn't something I should have to edit for other people's comfort. I'm Mexican, Indigenous, Black, and Irish, and if that's too complicated for your form, then maybe the problem is with your form, not with me. Zendaya's eyes filled with tears of pride. That's exactly right, Maya. You're not complicated. The world just hasn't caught up to your beauty yet. Ellen turned to address the cameras. This is Maya Santos, and she just reminded us that identity isn't about fitting into boxes someone else created. It's about having the courage to exist authentically in all your complexity. 6 months later, Maya Santos appeared on the Ellen DeGeneres show again, but this time she was holding acceptance letters from 3 top universities that had specifically praised her essay about mixed-race identity and the courage to exist authentically in a categorized world. Zendaya, who had stayed in regular contact with Maya, appeared in person to celebrate her success and announce the launch of a scholarship fund specifically designed to support mixed-race students navigating identity and education. The segment sparked a national conversation about race categories on applications and the psychological impact of forced categorization on mixed-race young people. Maya became an advocate for multiracial identity recognition, speaking at high schools about the power of embracing complexity and refusing to be simplified. Ellen learned that day that her job wasn't to interview famous people about their latest projects. Her job was to create moments where identity could be celebrated in all its complexity, where young people could learn they don't have to shrink to fit into other people's understanding, and where representation could expand to include everyone who had been told they don't exist. Zendaya learned that the most important roles happen not on movie sets, but in moments when her own journey with identity gives someone else permission to exist fully and authentically in a world that wants to reduce them to checkboxes. And Maya Santos learned that sometimes the scariest thing you can do, refusing to choose just one part of who you are, is also the most powerful thing you can do for everyone who comes after you. Because the most important performances aren't always the ones that win awards. Sometimes they're the ones that happen in college admissions offices, where young people refuse to edit their identity for acceptance, where complexity is claimed as strength, and where the next generation teaches the world that human beings are too beautiful to fit in boxes.